And thank you all for being here. We are really, really honored to be here with Dr. Barb Hewson, who I'm going to introduce very shortly. As everyone knows, we are the Breast Connection, prevention plus healing. And with our combined professional expertise, firsthand personal experience, we bring compassionate presence, cutting edge knowledge, support, and heartfelt connection to you through our monthly Zoom events that occur on the second Tuesday of each month in the comfort of your own home. And we are so grateful to have everyone here to come, get inspired, build connections, and feel nourished at profound levels in this global wellness community that continues to grow. So before we introduce Dr. Barb, I would just love to share with everyone who the Breast Connection is. So I'm going to ask Erin to just pull up a slide to show you that it is need of us four co-founders. So Erin, Dina, Anne, and myself, we founded the Breast Connection together. We are actually 3 breast cancer thrivers and 1 therapist who came together because we realized that healing in a community, we heal and thrive together as a community, and we wanted to bring that to the world and bring it at an international level. And it's just been absolutely wonderful. What I would love to do is just give a minute for each of us co-founders to talk a little bit about our part, what we do in the Breast Connection and in the world. So I would love to start with Anne Crook.
Hi, ladies. It's so good to see everybody here. I'm Anne Crook. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and I am the founder of Integrative Radiance, a wellness business. I am an integrative health and wellness coach, and I'm also a holding space consultant through a wonderful institute called the Institute for the Study of Birth, Breath, and Death. And I love to blend together the power of emotional healing and holding space for difficult emotions that land in our body and wind up in dis-ease if we don't turn towards those emotions and learn how to tend and befriend them. So what I do is I hold space for my clients with the health coaching, the lifestyle, and nutritional guidance, and it really makes a powerful container for transformational healing. And it has been a dream come true for me to co-found the Breast Connection with Dina, Lisa, and Erin. After going through breast cancer myself in 2018 and transforming my own health and going out and reclaiming my best life as a result, now I get to share this message and pay it forward. And it's just such a pleasure and an honor to co-found this community and be with all of you. So thank you for being here. And I will pass it off to Dina now.
Hi, everyone. I am Dina Legland. I am known as the Inner Warrior Coach. And when you think about the words inner warrior, a lot of people think of breast cancer survivors and thrivers. I am a registered nurse, and I am a certified life and wellness transformational coach. And I founded Wellness Warriors for Life because I decided that when I was going through my journey, it's not that I decided, it was something that I discovered, that the cancer really saved my life and my fears almost killed me. Those toxic fears that I had were just so overwhelming. And I realized that I felt that I wasn't going to be loved and I was going to be judged because I had to take care of myself. So because of this experience, my mission is to help women who are going through breast cancer or already on the other side of it, that still feel judged and invisible, and they feel like their life is out of control. And I teach them that they deserve and learn how to really take control and choose themselves first. And the key to it all is that it's guilt-free. Because how much do we put guilt on ourselves, ladies? We always seem to do that. We take care of everybody else. We put ourselves aside. So that is my mission as a wellness warrior. And I am
love
actually
it.
just so happy to be here with all of you. And it's amazing how the three of us, and now all four of us, I should say, have come together and want to promote this and just be there for everybody else as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Erin.
Thanks, Dina. I am Erin Price. I'm a registered massage therapist in, I was going to say North Vancouver, which is where I used to live, but now I'm in the Okanagan and it's very snowy and cold and wintry here, but you know, beautiful. I also am so honored to be here with really fine people doing fine work. I mean, the three of us the three others other than myself who founded the Breast Connection are not your average run-of-the-mill people. And Dr. Barb also fits in that category. And I just think that's one of the most beautiful things about doing this work is you get to know people who are exceptional at what they do and who are bringing something very genuine and very heartfelt to the table. So myself as a registered massage therapist, I started seeing women going through breast cancer, and my first patient had no breast, no reconstruction. She was just flat. And that was a total game changer for me, not only because I hadn't actually seen a woman without her breast before, but also because I got to see the after effects of living with that surgery. And I came to see patient after patient after patient that the after effects are where, you know, a lot of the support really needs to happen. And, you know, the medical part of going through cancer, we've got it pretty well dialed on a lot of fronts, but the aftercare after surgery, there's a massive gap. And after you go home from your chemo and your radiation, they just kind of like, hope you do well, hope you figure it out. And it's challenging. And so that's where like my work with the mastectomy guide comes in. I'm the founder of the mastectomy guide, training other massage therapists how to work with the breast and chest surgery demographic, and also groups like this, so that there are people who can feel connected, they can feel you know, like they're getting educated. And, you know, tonight is no exception. So I'm really excited to introduce Dr. Barb and what she's going to be talking about, because she's got some very valuable information. And I'm also going to ask, because we like to create a safe group, if you are somewhere where it is safe to do so and you are comfortable to turn on your camera, please do so. And that way it just creates some safety in the group. It creates some knowledge of who is here. And it doesn't matter one whit what you look like. If you're in your pajamas and you haven't bathed for 5 days, nobody cares. What we want to know is who you are and how you are, you know, feeling in the group. And if we can see you, that's much easier. Obviously, if you're like, heck no, then we're not going to force anybody. But if you are able to, then that would be great. So without further ado, oh, Pat, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, please. I've took 10 minutes to try to get on this thing, even though I've registered about 3 times. Now I'm on my cell phone, but I can't get it on my laptop. Can you please give me the Zoom link, please? That would make life a lot easier.
I'll put it in the chat. Just give me 1 second.
Thank you, hon.
Okay, thanks, Pat. All right.
Thank you.
So, Lisa, did you have something before? Maybe you wanted to say something before? Oh, you want to introduce Dr. Barb? Sorry, my bad.
Yes, well,
Not in the chat.
actually, I'm going to briefly introduce myself and also let everybody know that we are recording this event, but I want you all to know that we only share the portions of it, which would be Dr. Barb's presentation and also the meditative practice. We don't share any of the shares from the community because we want you to feel that this is a very safe space, that what you say here stays here. So although we record the entire thing, we do edit it later on and then we share that. Very quickly, before I introduce Dr. Barb, I would just like to explain kind of my part in the Breast Connection. So I'm Lisa Casenti. I am a special educator. I'm also the single mama of an almost 5-year-old. And what I bring, the perspective that I bring to the Breast Connection is that I was diagnosed with breast cancer when my daughter was just 9 months of age, and I was a single mama. So we went through that journey together. So I bring that perspective, and I truly believe that everybody's story matters Everyone's story brings us together, educates us, and is one of the most powerful things that you can share. So without further ado, I am honored, so honored to introduce everybody here to Dr. Barb Hewson, who the universe was so wonderful to connect us together. Dr. Barb is coming to us from Colorado. She has a wealth of knowledge. She is a leadership coach, family law mediator, and an educator. She became the president and director of the Becky Baker Foundation in 2017 when Rick Baker turned his informal foundation into a 501c3 right before 2020 began. See, Becky was Rick's previous wife, and she passed away from stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. Becky didn't have any screenings, and she chose a natural approach to heal her cancer, which afforded her 3.5 years beyond her 3-month prognosis. The Becky Baker Foundation mission is to save lives through donating gifted screenings, both mammograms and thermograms. And the patient chooses this. And a huge part of what this foundation does is teaching about prevention, which is so powerful. The Becky Baker Foundation and everyone in it, they teach people how to create a healthier life to hopefully prevent cancer and other diseases. So Dr. Barb Hewson is going to speak to us about how prevention is forever. This is such an honor, Dr. Barb. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was so sweet. Thank you all, ladies, for being here. And it's always nice to see some smiling faces and to meet some new people. Thank you for the great intro. I don't really have to say too much more about what I do. The only thing I will add is I was also a therapist in private practice for about 25 years. So I come from a mental health background, which, as I think we've talked about in other presentations you've had too, the importance of the mental piece and the emotional piece in going through a cancer journey. So you had already talked about Becky a little bit. So Becky was first diagnosed in 2013, and she found a lump the size of a BB and didn't say a word to anybody. And fear, I think, was what was driving all of that. She was terrified. She thought it was going to go away. She didn't know what to do. She didn't tell a soul. And she was not somebody who went to the doctor. She had never gone to a gynecologist. She had never had a mammogram or any kind of screening. And she lived on Diet Cokes. Prevention is a tricky thing because it's not very sexy and we can't measure it. So that's why it's hard to teach prevention because, you know, it's like, how do we measure if we're actually preventing something? You know, I like to use the example of if you're a smoker and you smoke your whole life and then one day you're diagnosed with lung cancer, there's probably a pretty good chance that maybe, you see how I'm using those words carefully, maybe the lung cancer came from smoking cigarettes. We don't know. So the best we can do is try to create a lifestyle of prevention. So I'm going to be sharing, again, I'm not a medical doctor, but I have a lot of amazing women that I know and resources that I'm going to share with you who are out in the world of cancer and oncology and integrative medicine. So I'm going to be flashing up some books to show you guys and talking about some of the key players that I know in the integrative world who are just really changing the game. What we know about cancer is that cancer is actually a metabolic disease. And one of the things that I think is really important, and I'm going to talk about a woman named Dr. Naisha Winters here in a moment, but one of the things that I've learned for my own health too, that's really important is you've got to know your own body. You're the only person that lives in this body. And one of the main ways that we can really learn what's going on with us is blood panels, genetic testing, like really kind of, so I call it know your numbers, like really understand what your numbers are. An example I can share, a personal example. So being a woman going through all the changes of life that we all get to go through, sometimes I don't know if I'm coming or going. And I personally see an integrative nurse practitioner. And so One day I said, I don't know what's going on. I don't feel great. I need to get some blood work. And so she said, let's do some hormone testing. And so if I went to my regular OBGYN, I would be there on a 1-day appointment, and they would do blood panel, and they would test, we have several hormones. So they would do one test to test all those hormones. They would base my hormone panel on one blood test. My integrative practitioner said, okay, we're going to test all of these hormones. You're going to go in on day 1, day 6, day 14, and day 24. And in a 30 days, that's going to give me a picture of what's going on with my hormones. Because as you know, they all do this, right? Some of them are dropping, some are rising, some are still fluctuating based on our age. So that's the kind of level I'm talking about, and really know what your numbers are for various things. I've heard the expression in all the people that we speak with, but she's so healthy. She looks so healthy, but you could look good and look healthy, but that may not be really what's going on at the cellular level. So know your numbers, take control of, if you feel like, boy, I need some blood testing, I need some panels done, I need to know what these numbers are. Go ask your physician, ask your doctor, and say, I need some blood work done because I need to know what's going on. It's really important. The other thing we know about cancer is that only 5% of cancers are genetic. 5%. And I've heard Dr. Nasha say this in talks 101 times. So this is based on a lot of research. So what does that mean? That means 95% of it is preventable. And if we look at, prevention is really about all sorts of things, right? Like heart disease, diabetes. There's so many different health issues that we're facing, globally. And a lot of these things we have control over, and we're not making the right decisions or the best decisions to take control of those. So just because you might have the BRCA gene, or you might have a predisposition for heart disease, for example, does not mean those genes are necessarily going to express. It depends on what you do with your mental health, what you do with your eating, your sleeping, all of these things that go together in the prevention world. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot that you have control over. So the people that I like to follow, these are like my rock stars. I'm going to show you guys a couple of books. So Dr. Nasha Winters is a friend of mine, and she's also based in Colorado. And when Dr. Nasha was 19 years old, an undergrad in college, she was pre-med, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer, 19 years old. So she kind of went into the mindset of, okay, well, I'm going to die, but I want to figure this out. So years ago, when she was at college, we were in the stacks in the library. We didn't have online databases. So she went to the library. She found Otto Warburg's work, and he talked about cancer being a metabolic disease, and that set her on a whole trajectory. Dr. Nasha Winters turned, I think she's now 51. So we are talking 30 plus years post terminal diagnosis. So I always go, if I'm going to listen to anybody on this planet, I am going to listen to Dr. Nasha Winters. So Dr. Winters has now started what's called the Metabolic Terrain Institute. She literally trains other physicians, oncologists globally, all around the world, in her metabolic terrain approach. And she works with, all sorts of doctors around the country. She speaks. I mean, every day of the week, I get another link for, oh, Dr. Nasha's on this podcast. Oh, Dr. Nasha's at this conference. And now she's at this summit. And so I listen to all of them. I hear all of them. She's fun to listen to. She's just a brilliant woman. And so the first book that she wrote is called The Metabolic Approach to Cancer. And she wrote this with another gal named Jess Kelly. And the two of them wrote this book quite a few years ago, but it's kind of the Bible. I've referred this book to a lot of friends that I know that have had cancer diagnoses. And so what she talks about, she has what's called the terrain 10, and she looks at your body as a terrain, and she talks about all these different things that impact our health. What shampoo are you using? What's your skincare? What are you putting on your face? So it's not just what we ingest, but it's products that we use, electricity around our environment. Do you sleep with your cell phone next to your bed? I hope not. So she talks about all these different elements. She calls the terrain 10. There's a great little quiz you can take in the beginning. And if you're high on certain levels, she'll say, if you're high in the sugar area, read chapter 6 or whatever it is. So this is a great book. The other thing that she just came out with recently with a bunch of other amazing doctors is a book on mistletoe. And mistletoe is, yes, it's the plant that you kiss under at Christmas time, but it's actually used mostly subcutaneously. And the amazing thing is the practitioner teaches you how to give yourself the injection. So you don't have to sit and do an 8-hour infusion. You don't have to go anywhere to do it. And it's very specific practice. And this book is amazing because it talks all about what mistletoe is, different kinds of trees that it grows on, which kinds of mistletoe you want for which kind of cancer. A lot of the mistletoe up to this point has been coming out of Germany. So they've been using mistletoe for a very, very long time. You can use it with chemo, with radiation, but what it does with cancer cells and with tumors is nothing short of miraculous. So I encourage everyone to take a look at those couple books if you can find them, grab them on Amazon. And so the other person that I love that I have met with and go to all of the things that she does as well is Dr. V, Dr. Veronique Desaulnier. And Dr. V is a chiropractor actually in Florida who has had breast cancer twice. And so she has the 7 essential steps. So her book is Heal Breast Cancer Naturally. And she also sells this amazing thing called My Breast Friend. I don't know if you guys have seen or heard of that, but it's literally, she sells these, and I feel like every gynecologist's office should have these, but it's a silicone breast that has different sizes and hardnesses of lumps. So you can actually feel what they feel like. Because sometimes we're not sure, right? Especially if you have dense tissue or you're not really sure what you're feeling. So most people find their cancers, a lot of them just through self-detection, right? Doing your actual exams yourself. That's really important to do. The other thing with prevention that I like to talk about is some of the other key players in the world of food. For example, Michael Pollan. He's one of my favorite authors. And when I first read the book, The Omnivore's Dilemma, I was blown out of my chair. He talks about the importance of conscious eating and knowing what you're eating. And the story that he tells in The Omnivore's Dilemma is about he buys a cow and he follows it through the processing. And he talks about what all that means. He talks about what is really a free range chicken. You know, he kind of goes into all of those things so that it's not like you need to eat a certain way, but it's know what you're eating, know where your food comes from and know what you're eating. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store. If you go in the grocery store, what's in the middle? All the processed packaged stuff. You know, read the labels, see what's in there. You know, it's really important. And that's, again, part of taking control of your health. And that's part of prevention, knowing what you're eating. So the other thing that we like to talk about at the Becky Baker Foundation, we use a model that Becky actually created called Laugh to Live, LAFF to live. And this is the model that we use to teach prevention. It's lifestyle, attitude, food, and faith. And so when Becky was diagnosed, she was given 3 months to live. And, you know, I always have a little challenge with that because, you know, our life is up to us to decide, right? In a lot of ways. And so when you have a physician say, like, this is all you have, there's research that shows if you're told you have X amount of time, a lot of people pass away in that time. There's a lot of studies that show that. And that's the mental piece, right? The messages that we take in, all of that stuff it goes deep in our cells, literally. So it's important to really think about, you know, what are you doing with all of these components of your body? So lifestyle, I like to look at things like sleep. Are you sleeping? Sleep is important. We need that for our brains. We need that for our bodies. We need that for healing. Exercise. Are you exercising? Walking is a very simple thing you can do, or working out with a trainer, or going to a gym, or riding a bike, or, you know, out west where I live, we love vitamin N, which is nature. We like to get out in nature and get fresh air, get vitamin D, all of that good stuff. Self-care, which again kind of ties in with the emotional piece. You know, are we taking time for ourselves? Are we finding a time to do some mindfulness, or some time to listen to music, or take a walk, or lay in a bubble bath? Whatever soothes us and gives us a little peace is really important. And finding balance. And balance is a tough one. You know, you hear like work-life balance. And I think it's important to just realize that, you know, we're all running 10 different directions, but you've got to find what works for you in a healthy way. And sometimes it's not so easy because you're juggling kids and jobs. And, you know, I teach college level courses, and I've got students that are doing all of that and then some, and they're taking 5 classes. And so they're trying to figure out what their balance is, and they're eating on the run, and they're not working out, and they're, you know, they're just having a very unhealthy lifestyle. Attitude is all of these things as well. Looking at negativity in your life. Is it negativity from other people or the environment where you might be? Or it could be your work environment might be causing some stress, or at home, some family life, or you're having issues with a partner or other family members, or challenges with your kids. Like, really look at all of these components. The stories we tell ourselves. That's another thing. We all have stories. And sometimes we end up getting stuck in these old stories. And as a family law mediator, one of the things I do is I try to get people in the now and moving forward, because we can't change all of the old stuff. We can't change what we didn't do or what we said or what we shouldn't have said. All we can do is exist in the now and do better and change things as we move forward. It's really important. The food piece is huge. I know I've mentioned that already. Sugar, we love sugar. You know, just we've seen the rates of obesity globally all around the world change over the years. We are consuming way too much sugar, and sugar is something that cancer cells just love. They love sugar, and you've probably read that before. I love this piece in Dr. Nasha's book, The Metabolic Approach to Cancer, where she mentions if your glucose levels are too high, radiation won't even work. So again, these are the kinds of things it's really important to understand, you know, what we put in our bodies and how it can even impact treatment plans that we're having. It's really important to understand that. Hydration, I got my water, drink lots and lots of water, so important. And good water, you know, make sure it's good, clean water, know where your water is coming from. And healthy eating in general, like I've mentioned, being aware of bad foods. You know, I mentioned Becky loved Diet Cokes and would get the big gulps and drink several of those in a day. Know what you're eating, know what's in your food, and just recognize that, you know, additives and preservatives and things like that are just not natural. Your body doesn't know what to do with those things. And the last thing is faith. And faith, we look at as hope, we look at it as spirituality. It doesn't have to be any particular religion. It's just around what you believe in. And sometimes higher powers can really help in our healing. I know for Becky, she was a very religious person, and she went to church, and they put it out to the church and other churches, and lots of people were praying for Becky. And just knowing that there's other people out there sending you healing vibes and, you know, sending you good messages is really important. So in our foundation, what we do is we gift mammograms and thermograms. And thermogram, a lot of people have never heard of that. I think most people know what a mammogram is. It's radiation. It's a diagnostic tool that finds when there's an issue. Thermography is more of a preventative tool because it can see when there's something going on. Sometimes you're still referred for an ultrasound or another scan, perhaps maybe a mammogram as well. But a thermogram is a very safe tool. It's an infrared camera, and it detects heat in the body. So you literally could have a thermogram done every day of the week. And oftentimes, if there is an issue, a thermographer will have you come back every 3 months or every 6 months so that you can kind of keep on top of any changes happening. There's no pain. It's a camera. You don't even get touched. So it's kind of a nice alternative. We tell people it's also nice. I think mammograms they're recommending now every other year. So do a thermogram on the year in between. You know, integrate something like that into your regime. The other thing that I did as the director of education for the foundation is I created what's called the Commitment to Prevention program. So I didn't print this out in color, but I have like a little workbook with the Laugh to Live. And so what it does is it works through all of those components: lifestyle, attitude, food, and faith. And again, I have some little video snippets that people watch or some articles to read. And then what you do is you create your own prevention plan. And so people that request a screening have to go through the commitment to prevention program. That's one of the ways that we're just really trying to help people really think about all these different components. And then once they've gone through the program, a lot of times at the end, they'll go, whoa, I didn't realize all the stuff I wasn't eating that I should be, or, areas of even things like sleep or dealing with my stress that I really wasn't even thinking about how it could impact all of this or my health. And again, we get people that don't necessarily have cancer, that they're coming to get a screening. We're hoping that they don't have cancer, but they're coming to us for screenings. And so the prevention program has actually been a big hit. People really like it. It gives them a chance to, again, really just think about all those components using our Laugh to Live model, and really just getting people to really take control of their health. The other thing, the last thing I'll just kind of in closing say is that, the approach that we take too is we're not going to tell you how to do any of this. We're going to provide resources, and we're going to leave it up to you to choose. Just like with a mammogram or a thermogram, we'll ask people, which would you like? And then we'll help you get that. Again, it's important to just know your body and be really diligent about, choosing a healthy lifestyle. Has anybody read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear? Great book. If you haven't read it, it's awesome. And he talks about, I love it. He talks about being a healthy person. So it's not so much about like, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds, but think about, I want to be someone who's healthy. I want to be a healthy person and have a healthy lifestyle. And that's how you create your habits and how you create, a way to live your life. And he kind of describes, like, if I want to eat this piece of chocolate cake and I'm trying to lose 10 pounds, is that a vote for being a healthy person, or is that a vote against being a healthy person? And so every little move you make, you think about, this is who I want to be. I want to be a healthy person. And in order to do that, I've got to do these things. And so I think it's just another kind of nice way to think about, your health in general. Every time you make a decision for doing something, taking that bike ride or not, or, eating that piece of chocolate cake or not. And just really, again, we need to enjoy life, but just think about how all of this plays together to create a healthy life. And definitely look into some of these resources. Look into Dr. V. Dr. Nasha Winters is, again, phenomenal. She's got all sorts of wonderful resources and podcasts. She has a wonderful, when you sign up for her mailing list, she sends out a little ebook. And number one in that ebook is breathe. That's the first thing to do when you're diagnosed, breathe. And I love that. And then she talks about test, assess, address. She talks about knowing your numbers, all of those good things. So just, again, know your numbers, know your body. And I'm a big fan of integrative practitioners. So I think those folks are really important on this journey to help you, no matter what decision you make with treatment. If you have to go through some treatment, get some supportive therapies to help keep you strong. So thank you.